Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the preview of the Guardians of Earth 2. Originally, this was cancelled due to me not having more time, but I decided to bring it back, since I do have more time. What you are about to see is a preview of what you, the viewer or reader, are going to expect in the upcoming chapters. Character introductions for some, with reintroductions for most that appeared in previous IO novels. New motives, their skills, and personalities, that includes the Toaru characters as well. And this is the real deal, none of that smoke and mirrors bullshit. Also, little spoilers. Other than that, enjoy. Throughout the two Americas, the Republic of Mobius is on the offensive, taking their enemies by surprise after years of espionage, covert operations, and deception. Cutropolis, the Federal Kingdom of Cutopia. Jose Jonathan Vargas, Chloe Harrington, and Mario and Luigi Giovanni, already in their combat uniforms and attire, ducks behind cover. Koopa troops, armed with new M1903 Springfield bolt-action rifles, L96A1s, and Barrett 50 BMGs, supplied by the Americans and the British, returns fire behind them. Robo-soldiers walks forward, returning fire from their wrists. Koopas behind them scream as their flesh turns to machine and turn against their own. Inklings and Octolings, who hate the Koopas and Goombas for what their previous ruler had done, joins the human Koopa forces with scatter guns and scatter shots. A building in between the two forces bursts. A spiked green shell flies out of the smoke and debris and crashes onto the street. King Robert Bowser I pops out of his shell, immediately firing his green fireball, hitting and destroying a column of robo-soldiers. He spots his own people becoming his enemy. Rage builds within him and he looks ahead of him. His son and heir to the throne, Robert Bowser II, and his longtime friend and advisor, Kamek, flies in and stands on his sides. A metal foot crashes on the ground, followed by another. Controlling the anti-Bowser brawler, or the Egg Brawler, Ivan Julius Robotnik, the chairman of the Republic of Mobius, stops his created mech. Machine gun swarms on its back, and its fist balls up. Ivan vows to Bowser I that he will take away what he cherished, just as he did to him. But Robert responded that he will rip and tear until the tormentor of his people and Commonwealth is no more. A thunder cracks. The Niborian space carriers, the Requiem of Nibiru and her sister ship Mercy, and their escorts, the destroyer Gloria and Valor, uncloaks, revealing their presence. All sides are confused on why the Niborians have returned to Earth. The hatches under the Requiem and Mercy opens. 8 Niborian knights, led by Vol Taka and his apprentice, Thel Damuni, dives and lands on their feet with the 17th Knights platoon. The Niborians have worried about their own things, but recent events throughout the decade had led them to getting involved in Earth's affairs. All three sides charge with their own goals in mind. In Europe, the Union of Sovereign Celtic Republics, the USCR, after weeks of tension, finally unleashes against the continent's various religions and governments to eliminate the perceived and confirmed corruption of each church, from Madrid in the west to Moscow in the east. London, United Kingdom. Gamera, in his saucer form, dashes through the air at great speeds. The black dragon Aldun, or Hypergauss, flaps its wings and jumps, dodging a spitting turtle. But the beast turns its body in less than a second and rams into the back of Gauss. The two kaiju falls and collides on the streets of Westminster. On all fours, the two slashes, scratches, bites, and claws at each other with vicious intention behind each action. One wants to be rid of its kind for good, while the other wishes to be rid of its longtime enemy. Juvenile Gauss comes into view, firing scalpels from their mouths. They hit the turtle, but they do little damage to his skin and bounces off his shell. An electro javelin stabs the underbelly of one. The bolts from the javelin zaps to the other juveniles, electrocuting up to 50. The rest looks downwards. Eleanor Harrington Honda conjures a pyro whip and swings it. It wraps around the neck of a juvenile and pulls it. She swings her electro sword to her left, slicing through the creature's body with ease. Edward Anderson, her grandfather-in-law, thrusts his broadsword Athena up another juvenile's jaw into its brain. Another wall of flames travels across the ground. Style Magnus stands behind the mutant crusader, summoning Innocentius. It blocks the bullets fired by Celtic soldiers. The soldiers stop firing as their bodies are covered in magical aura. Elizabeth Victoria Montgomery, Index, uses her developing magic and disarms the soldiers by throwing her assault rifles away. Harrington Honda swings a bolt to a wall. It bounces and zaps the soldiers, killing them. The cry of Gamera grabs their attention. They turn, only to find the turtle kaiju fallen onto the ground on his hands. Fire engulfs him, and the beast disappears behind the flame. His courier, the third Dragonborn Kenjiro Honda, stands to his feet. He writhes in pain, and his arm becomes torn without anything hurting him. He stares up, spotting Aldun flying towards him. Through the pain, he grabs the black dragon by its snout. The Hammer of Dawn fires from his mouth, knocking the beast back 1,100 yards away. He senses that something is wrong, and it is happening on the other side of the world. Right now, he is too tied up in his situation. His wife Ellie runs up and stands beside him with her conjured sword in hand. Gauss stands to his feet, roaring. A portal opens. Francis Eulicles steps through, throwing something at Dragonborn. Honda grabs it. He recognizes it. It's his father's katana Kronos that he gave to his grandfather. He unsheathes it, and the blade is in one piece. Holding it in his left hand and his right fist clenching, he and Eleanor dashes forward, with the sorcerers and Euclides giving them cover to keep the juvenile Gauss and the Celtic soldiers at bay. Berlin, Germany. A lightning bolt zips through the air, hitting the side of the Reichstag. Jonathan Zenoff swings the flaming axe-hammer Hades to his left and right, unleashing walls of fire. A rage-filled Mikoto Misaka ducks under the first and weaves the second, then swings her electrified right fist forward. Zenoff jumps out of the way as the fist slams onto the concrete road. A shockwave envelops, pushing the Celtic Prime Minister back 7 yards, but does not go off of his feet. He snaps his head to his right and lifts his hand, blocking the thrown fist by Toma Kamijo. He kicks the boy on his side, sending him flying towards the girl. His girlfriend catches him and sets him down. His right hand twitches and spazzes. He grips it as blue and yellow veins forms on it. Mikoto brings him back to what is happening and what they had just witnessed. Their eyes veers back to Zenoff. His intentions are clear. He will fulfill his promise of safety for his people and resurrect the Celtic god Bagan that was murdered in battle. The seven-headed sword swings for his head and a right hand reaches out to him. Zenoff stops the hand just short, knocking the former chairman of Academy City Accelerator back and kicking Kaori Gonzaki back as well. Esther Rosenthal pulls Toma and Mikoto to their feet. The ends of Misaka, Kanzaki, and Kamijo's hair turns purple. A sudden burst of energy is gifted to them. They do not know how, but they shall use it for an advantage. For all sides, fear drives them to accomplish what they want, but one side shall be victorious. Asia has exploded, with the Empire of Red Mongolia on the attack, from the Middle East to the skies above Japan. The ambition of Empress Kazuma Ozawa to do what her late father had failed to do drives her to conquer all of Mongolia's old and new enemies. Osaka, Japan. On the Tokaido Shinkansen, riding inside of the bullet train, Ruriko-san's foot constantly taps the floor. She is gifted with this new ability that can potentially save everyone, yet she does not know how to use it properly. Kazari Uriharu, sitting with her, assures her that they can find someone who knew her mother, Netasi. A ball of fire rising into the sky grabs the girls and the others' attention. The bullet train's brakes hits, knocking everyone off their feet. As it comes to a halt, the people within lift themselves and each other to see what is happening. In the Kita Ward within Osaka, missiles flies and crashes on buildings, exploding on impact. Kuroko Shirai teleports rapidly, avoiding the projectiles as best as she can. Appearing on the street, 3 are barreling towards her. She turns around, but they disappear. They reappear behind her before crashing on the ground 200 yards away. She turns to her left, spotting Awaki Musujime twirling her flashlight and giving her a smug look. Kuroko rolls her eyes, but suddenly widens them. She teleports behind her, kicking a Celtic Crusader away from hacking at Musujime. She grabs her wrist and teleports away. Appearing in the downtown area, they spot members of Scavenger handling their situation on their end. The leader Izumi using her Predator ability to spot incoming enemies and attacks. Saike creating friction on the ground around them. Sakuragi defending her team with her Perfect Paper. And Yakumaru using her Mixmaster to freeze the soldiers. Both Shirai and Musujime jumps in between the girls and joins them. but the number of Celtic crusaders and soldiers is becoming too much. Bullets zips past them, hitting the Celts in every angle. They stop, and the girls looks behind them. Hamazura, Kinuhata, Takitsubo, unarmed, and Motoharu Tsuchimikado walks up to them, not much in a greeting mood. The level 5 Mugino bursts out of the window of a pawn shop as green orbs surround her. She aims back inside as she backs up to her group. Theristina Kihara, controlling her improved pink armored suit, steps out with a devilish grin on her face. She had dreamed of finishing where she left off. Academy City may be destroyed, but she has found a new way to torture those who ruin her opportunity for a proper level 6. To Shirai, it is the worst possible outcome to ever occur. Once again, she has to deal with something that has never been resolved. But she is destined to finish it, and she will not be alone. A skyscraper in the distance collapses. A woman flies out of the smoke and crashes on the concrete. She lifts herself up and stops herself using her hands dug into the concrete. Coming to a stop in front of the astonished Espers, Shinobu Nakamura stands to her feet and looks back ahead. The tower's debris and smoke disappears. The 130-meter kaiju stops itself, looking down at Beradaki. The demon of monsters, the Ryu Seicho, moans like a whale. Nakamura's eyes darts at the center of the Gene Snatcher. A barely noticeable silhouette of a human is inside of the beast. Her fist clenches. Black aura surrounds her body and her teeth sharpens. She leaps forward into the air, opening her left hand. She deflects the 4 tentaclancers and swings her hand forward. The beast sidesteps and throws a right. It collides with the blocking Shinobu and she flies away from the beast. She crashes through 3 towers before clashing on the side of the 4th. 2 tentaclancers lifts, aims, and fires ultrasonic scalpels directly at her. A hydrogen ray clashes, cancels the scalpels, then barrels towards the Ryu Seicho. It lifts into the air, dodging the blast as it penetrates through towers and the earth in the distance with ease. Explosions erupts as the demon lands. It and the other humans looks to where the blast came from. Walking onto the shores of Osaka, Godzilla III roars, challenging the beast, which it accepts. The Ryu Seicho's tentaclancer splits, forming membrane-like wings. It lifts and dashes towards the Kaiju King. The Kaiju clashes as the volunteers of the Japanese PSAA deals with Kihara and her aligned Celtic soldiers. Godzilla swings a left and right punch, but misses a third. The demon returns with a stiff right, sending him back. His anger builds as his dorsal fins glows purple and surges blue electric bolts. Hyper dorsal beams fires from them directly at the beast, but it deflects most of it with his arms, but not all of it. One scalpel from a tentaclancer partially piercing his skin causes him to stop. He growls as the beast responds in kind. Their attention turns to their sides. Kaiju-piercing shells, guided and unguided rockets are flying through the air towards the 2 titans. The Ryu Seicho deflects the projectiles, and Godzilla's hydrogen shield protects him from them. They turn to see what was firing at them. The 115-meter cyborg lands on the ground. The JAMF's Type 3 Mechagodzilla roars. Inside, the pilots Milia Terasawa and Miki Sugusa, the gunner Akari Kujo, and defense operator Kaijo Ito looks to the monitor. Miki feels regret for what she is doing. But her friends reassures her that it is for the safety of Japan. Godzilla darts back and forth from his mechanical double to his grandfather's ancient rival, thinking of which should take priority. The Ryu Seicho looks at the two, and its mind is clear. In order to achieve absolute dominance and power, it must eliminate its current enemy and the old one. As the 3 charges forward into battle, nobody knows what will happen once everything has settled down. But one thing will remain clear. The world will be on the path towards the great apocalypse.